Hello engineers. So today we have a engineering design challenge. So we're going to start off with the first part of the engineering design process, which is ask. So here we need to figure out what our goal is and what our problems are. So for today, our goal is to build the tallest tower that we possibly can. And this tower needs to be able to stand up on its own. Now, in the ask phase, we also have to figure out what our limits and constraints are. And for this project, those limits have to do with your materials. So your materials for this project are going to be exactly 25 index cards. You should use this size, the I think 3x5 size. Don't use the bigger sizes because then your tower is going to be taller just because of the materials that you have. And on top of the index cards, you can also use tape. Now you can feel free to use whatever tape you have at home. I have masking tape because that's what we have in the lab, but there is a limit on this too. You can only use 1 foot or 12 inches worth of tape. So I am gonna go ahead and measure that out right now. All right, and that is all the tape that I can use right there. I'll rip that off right there. And I'm gonna take this off the table and stick it right here so it doesn't lose all of its stickiness. All right, so those are our constraints. And since you guys are doing this at home, you can have as much time as you want to do this. There is one more constraint. So the index cards, you can't cut them and you can't rip them. Basically, they have to stay in one piece just like this. All right, so the ask phase taken care of, let's move on to imagine. So as you're building this tower, or before you start building this tower, I would think about like what things in real life exist that are really tall already. So I'm thinking about skyscrapers, I'm thinking about really tall trees, thinking about like older designs like the ancient pyramids. And one thing that a lot of these have in common is they kind of get narrower towards the top. Sort of a wide base so you have something strong, and then they all kind of get narrower towards the top. Now, some things, like skyscrapers, they kind of go straight up for a while, and then it's only the very top that's pointy. And then obviously like the pyramids, those are super wide at the bottom, and then they just angle in all the way up. So it sounds, and it appears to me that our tower, or my tower, should probably have some kind of a wide base if I want it to be able to stand up tall. But besides that, sort of the sky's the limit here. You can think of all kinds of different ways that you might be able to attach these to each other, that you might be able to kind of stack them up in various configurations. I would take some time and just play around with the index cards and see what you can do. See how you can get them to rest on each other and how they can sit on the table. So once you have thought about different ways that you can use the index cards, it's time to move on to a plan. Now here, I do want to bring up there's a couple of things that you can do with the index cards, some specific things before you jump into your plan. So you can't cut them and you can't rip them, but you can feel free to fold them either this way, or even like multiple folds like this to make new shapes. And some of the advantages of these is that they can stand up on their own like this, whereas an index card by itself doesn't really do that. Okay, so that's an option there. You can also roll them up like this. That could be helpful. And then obviously you have that tape for a reason. You can tape the cards to each other in a lot of different ways to make them stick to each other. And depending on where you put the tape, they will behave differently. Now you only have that 1 foot of tape, so make sure you're careful with where you put it. Okay, so now you should have come up with a plan and you have some idea for how you want to build this. So it's time to get started. And remember what I said, you don't have a time limit for this, so feel free to take as long as you want on this. And even though you only have 25 index cards that you can use and you only have that 1 foot of tape, if you build your tower and it falls down, or it's just not quite as tall as you think it should be, don't be afraid to start over. If you have a few extra index cards, or if your index cards aren't all messed up, if they're not folded too terribly, you can always, get a little bit more tape and start over from the beginning. So don't be afraid to try and improve your design. All right, well, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and build my own design, and then you guys should at home try to build your own and see how it goes.